Okay, I'm going to assume that most people watching this have gotten started on the things you must do. One note on the things you must do, you really should be browsing this things you must do list from your site. That is, if you look down here, that says the site is owned by me. That's what we would call my right context. We might call it the origin site. Probably a few other terms. But the important thing here is by browsing from here, what I can do is it allows me to change these pages, save them, and write them to my own site. If you browse directly from that orientation link, a lot of the orientation won't make sense to you. So please do it that way. In any case, we're assuming that you've gotten through a lot of these. I would really like people to get all the way up to list all pages in the neighborhood, at which point we can start connecting people and having the sorts of conversations that we want on the wiki itself. So please keep plugging away. I'm going to show you some stuff from people that have at least gotten a little bit into it. If you've gotten about halfway through it, you've added this Conversation Club's link on it. I'm going to go here. And what I can see is I can see all the activity. You can't go to this link directly. And again, just a really important concept in Federated Wiki, the site that you're browsing from matters. This is another case where it matters. You have to access this link via your origin page here. I know a lot of this stuff won't make sense until the fifth time you hear it. So time number one, and we'll leave it at that. Anyway, I can see all the activity that people are doing across the site. I see some people are setting up their bio page. Really important that you set up a bio page. A lot of people have done that encyclopedic page. So this is a page I've never seen before called Practomine. It's an idea of games for learning. It's an idea of Plato as the first video game designer, and that links to our idea of teaching machines. And I'm just going to go down here and I'm going to just fork it. And now I have a copy on my site. To fork or not to fork, more or less I treat fork the way I might treat bookmarking something in Diigo or Delicious. It just says that this thing is interesting or useful, and I might want to find it again. So you see that now this changes. Let's go and look for some other things. So thank you. I forget if who Electric Archaeology is. Is that Sean Graham, maybe? Let's go back to Conversation Clubs. Paul Bond has set up his Teaching Machines page here, and he starts this article on Ludovico technique. And I've actually already looked at this article, and I think I forked it. Yeah, you can see I forked it because, well, a couple reasons. One, there's no blue outline around this page, right? So it's being served from my server. And two, the color that's associated with me is up at the top here. So he has this thing on Ludovico technique, which is the fictional technique that's highlighted in A Clockwork Orange. I think this is kind of a neat take on the most, I don't know, a horrific dystopian idea of what teaching machines could be. So he's got this thing here. You know what I think I might do is I might, let's go to Wikipedia and just find like a picture and add it to this page. I am going to save this image. Okay, it's got a fair use rationale. But let's go back to this Ludovico technique, and I'm just going to open up this. Actually, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you the technique I use to do this. I create a scratch space. I'm going to drag that there. And we do have the license here. We're just going to add that, right? And now if Paul wants to take those edits back, he can take those edits back, he can fork it back. If you go and you look at it, you can decide which one of these you want to fork, right? So is this the one, is this short and sweet one the one you want? Or do you want the one that's extended here? Or do you want to take this one that's extended and then maybe delete something that I added? see what I know that this is Mike Morgan. He took on the Jacquard. Is it Jacquard loom? He took on the loom and writes, I think, a really good description here of why this is significant to teaching. For those that don't know, the Jacquard loom was pivotal in the history of computers because it was a programmable machine. What the loom did was it used punch cards. I mean, just really like the punch cards that we would later use for computers. And those punch cards ended up being the program which showed the loom how to do different sorts of things. You could feed it a punch card, and it would program the loom to execute that pattern. Mike has made the subtle reference to teaching here. That the idea is that the design, right, when you're actually weaving a design into a rug, right, the design in the process of making the design are really interwoven. Once you're able to put that design on a card as a process, it changes things. And actually, this reminds me of something we had in the first happening. So I'm going to actually go over here, and I'm going to go into my site from the first happening. So it reminds me of the whole discussion we had as on art and mechanical reproduction, different sorts of scores. So here's the thing I was looking for. Stravinsky's player piano, and this idea of the punch cards, it seems to me to be very related to this idea of the player piano. And there's this question with Stravinsky. One of the reasons why Stravinsky really liked the idea of the player piano was that it ensured the fidelity of the creator's vision. And this to me seems to be a useful idea for the happening, right? And so I want to be careful what I pull in here, right? I don't want to just pull in every random thought I have. I do think that this relates, right? So Stravinsky's player piano, we're just going to drag that over here. I'm going to say okay, I'm just going to, so I wrote that, I'm just going to check and make sure this link actually works, right? And so now, since I'm linking to that, I really should pull it in here so that, but this is the model that I see for students, right? So students will go through multiple happenings or courses, and they'll collect these things from other people. And they'll write these things themselves. And as they go into their new classes, they'll realize, oh wait, that idea relates to something we were talking about in the last class, and they'll pull these things into the new discussion. And so a student would have multiple sites, but they would be constantly mining the old sites to bring the stuff into the new site. And they would change it too. So as we pull in this, see also for an early example of mechanization by recipe. And maybe we'll alter this text a bit to deal more with education, right? Because we can do that. One of the neat things about copies is that each copy that we bring over from another place, from another site, we can alter and make relevant to the current conversation. Now we have the Jacquard loom linked to Stravinsky's player piano. This is one of the really powerful things that I'm interested in. This has gotten pretty long, so I'm going to say that we're going to wrap this up soon here. But I really do want you to get through these tasks right down to use conversation clubs so that you can start to browse the happening and start to fork people's stuff, maybe extend it, and we'll talk more about what that looks like.